Yeah. Yeah, so I'm so happy that Sunny posted this because there was this one line in the Killer remix that I listened to where Eminem's like, the only time I got served was that lawsuit where Moss sued, and I think this is the lawsuit he's talking about. So I'm looking forward to this.
His mum on a song so hard that she was able. Eminem dissed his mum on a song so hard that she was able to successfully sue him. When did it happen? How did it happen? And
Damn.
what amount of money did she eventually get from him? Well, the lawsuit makes a lot more sense if you understand that Marshall Mathers and Debbie Mathers have always had a fragile relationship. When I was growing up, I hated my mother, mainly because we were constantly moving. Eminem recalls his childhood as a tormented time in which he was forced to attend 15 different schools, while his mum chased boyfriends from city to city, adding that his mother only loved him until he was 8 years old, and that by the time he was 15, she was demanding that he either help with bills or be thrown out of the house. With so much of Eminem's early music often discussing this harsh Detroit upbringing, it was inevitable that at some point he'd rap about he and his mother's poor relationship, doing so for the first time in 1999 after releasing the now incredibly popular song My Name Is, which included the lines, "99% of my life I was lied to. I just found out my mum does more dope than I do. I told her I'd grow up to be a famous rapper, make a record about doing drugs and name it after her." Although when Eminem's mum would listen to this song following its release, she'd publicly defend herself by stating that his upbringing was the exact opposite to this. I'm looking at these and I'm going, what is this? I never worked a day in my life. We never had a house to live in. We lived on welfare. I mean, everything he was saying was like, I almost went into shock. I'm like, this is not true. Why are you doing this?
He was spoiled rotten. Anything he wanted, I made sure that I'd take my last dime and get it for him.
Neglectful.
No.
Pill popping.
No.
Welfare collecting.
No, he needs to quit, making attacks on me. You don't do this to your mom. And it's so hard.
In a different interview, when Eminem's mum was asked, all that stuff about you doing drugs and his rough childhood, is any of that true? She'd respond by stating, no, and that's what hurt me so much. I am a good Christian and prayer has kept me going. He was too spoiled.
Well,
Anything he wanted, I would just buy it and I'd go without. I sheltered him too much and I think there's a little resentment from that. And to be fair to Debbie Mathers, there is evidence suggesting that Eminem didn't actually have a rough upbringing. Eminem's younger half-brother Todd Nelson stated in an interview that Marshall was always very resentful over not having a father figure in his life. Growing up, he felt like he missed out on a lot. But all this stuff about him being abused as a child is so far from the truth, it's just laughable. Debbie did everything she could for him when he was growing up. She bought him his first car, a Lincoln Continental, and ran around after him so he didn't have to take responsibility for anything. She's done the same thing with her youngest Nathan, and he's growing up to be an equally spoiled brat, with his sentiment also being shared by Eminem's grandma.
Debbie was so protective of this boy. She never allowed him until he got in his teens to have a lot of friends.
Whether or not Eminem really had a traumatic youth was yet to be determined. However, on the 20th of September 1999, at a time during which Debbie Mathers was conveniently close to bankruptcy, she'd pick the first lawyer she found in the Yellow Pages named Fred Gibson and file a $10 million defamation lawsuit against Marshall Mathers, stating that his comments had caused various forms of emotional distress, including diminished self-esteem, humiliation, sleepless nights, harm to her credit rating, and even the loss of her mobile home.
When you can't go to the mob for being spit on and being called, you disgusting pig, it's sad because people are passing judgment by listening to Marshall's songs.
However, the filing of this lawsuit only led Eminem's mum to receive even more backlash. Going back to the interview with Eminem's half-brother, he'd state that after filing the lawsuit, Eminem's mum became the most hated woman in Detroit. Debbie can't go out anywhere in Detroit without being recognized, and normally it ends up with her being abused or attacked. She's had everything from eggs thrown at her to cigarette butts flicked at her. She got so fed up with people cursing or staring at her that she'll only do her shopping in the middle of the night. It's a terrible way to live and nobody deserves what she's been through. When Marshall himself learned of the lawsuit, he unsurprisingly called his mother in a fit of rage. However, in the public eye, Eminem was able to remain cool, calm and collected, stating that he simply expected the lawsuit. My mum is a lawsuit queen. All her life she has sued people. That's how she makes money. When I was 5, she had a job on the cash register at a store that sold chips and soda. Other than that, I don't remember her working a day in her life. While Eminem's lawyer would come forward stating that the lawsuit will only be dealt with through legal channels, Eminem seemed to have a different idea as he began to use the situation as fuel for new lyrics.
The lawsuit didn't stop him when he got hit with the lawsuit. It didn't stop him.
The man's trying to make
on the 23rd of May 2000, whilst Eminem was smack bang in the middle of the lawsuit, he'd released the Marshall Mathers LP on which he'd feature lines such as, "My mum's suing for $10 million. She must want $1 for every pill I've been stealing. Where you think I picked up the habit? All I had to do was go in her room and lift up her mattress," doubling down on the claims that had started the lawsuit. However, this is the point at which the story takes a bizarre, almost hilarious twist. As a result of Eminem continuing to rap about his mother in an unfavorable way, she'd respond by doing something that only a few have been dumb enough to attempt. Demi Mathers dropped a diss track on Eminem.
With the release of the CD, it was one of the ways for me to get my feelings out there to my son and the public.
The song titled Dear Marshall was released on a 2-track EP called Setting the Record Straight.
This is called Set the Record Straight with IDX and Eminem's mom, and it should be available in stores.
And featured lyrics.
If somebody goes that far to make a diss track, this whole thing is muddying the waters for me right now, because I get where she's coming from. Like, that makes sense that all that backlash would occur. But, like, you know, I think Sonny put it really well, where he's like, she conveniently filed for a lawsuit when she was about to get kicked out of her mobile home. The part that sucks for me is, like, bro, if you're making a lot of money, which I don't think he was making, like, fat stacks at the time like he's probably making now. Now he's comfortable. I wonder if he's helping his mom out now. Anyways, I gotta look into that more. I'm definitely gonna look into that more to see, like, what his relationship with his mother is now. But, like, she's making diss tracks, bro. I don't know how serious, like, this is. It's a good move, but she didn't know she was going up against a rap god. She didn't know she was making the rap god. I don't know.
Such as, "We have a problem, Marshall. The past 2 years something really went wrong. I was so excited about your success, yet so let down by your betrayal. Will the real Marshall Mathers please stand up and take responsibility for his actions?"
It includes the telltale line, "Marshall, we have a problem." And to set the record straight on that lawsuit, Debbie hasn't dropped the suit, but as we said, she is working on a settlement.
With Eminem now having a fair bit of pressure on him from the media, Debbie Mathers reduced the lawsuit amount from $10 million to $2 million with the goal of reaching a settlement. However, perhaps as a partial result of his mother's diss track, Eminem rejected the $2 million settlement request, instead stating that he'd rather pay his attorneys $100,000 just to make sure that she doesn't get a dime. Although, while Eminem wasn't ready to give up $2 million that easily, Debbie seemed to have theorized another method to earn this money, as shortly after having her $2 million settlement rejected, she'd announced that she was writing a tell-all book about her and Marshall's upbringing titled My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem. After seeing her book announcement as another cash grab based on his fame, Eminem
but, like, okay, yeah, it is another cash grab, but, like, everybody in this world is looking for a cash grab, you know what I mean? She's, well, I don't know why I'm arguing this, but anyways, like, she has the right to make a book. Jeffrey Dahmer's dad made a book, and that was a little bit weirder. Like, he says that his book was, like, designed to... I think his book was still helpful because, you know, despite what that man did, like, I think it's good to show people that, like, for lack of a better word, Dahmer had, like, a relatively normal upbringing and stuff like that. I mean, normal in the sense that, like, a lot of families fight and get divorced. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent over here. Like, the book thing is not, I don't think it's a cash grab. I think she realizes that she's not going to win the lawsuit naturally. I don't even know if Eminem had the money at the time, and she's finding new ways to monetize this behavior because she's got to eat too, you know?
Would escalate the conflict further by stating, "If I could go back in time, I'd probably go back to the day I was born and kill my mother as soon as she had me," also releasing another brutal song titled Cleaning Out My Closet, in which Eminem can be seen digging a grave for his mother in the music video, whilst rapping lyrics such as, "Look at me now, I bet you're probably sick of me now. Ain't you mama, I'ma make you look ridiculous now." However, while this was the approach taken by Eminem publicly, his mother explained that behind the scenes, he was on the phone begging her to end the conflict, having stated, "All I want for my birthday, for Father's Day, for Christmas, for all the other holidays, is for you to drop the lawsuit," and it seemed like after this phone call, Debbie was potentially going to drop the case. She'd publicly admit that, "I didn't mean to sue my son for defamation. I just wanted to stop my home being repossessed and clear up the financial problems that have been caused," yet under the advice of her lawyer, who stated that the suit would be a good way to give Marshall a wake-up call, Debbie continued the case until it would finally...
Lawyers! What lawyer? Oh, I hate lawyers.
Stated that the suit would be a financial problems that had been caused, yet under the advice of her lawyer, who stated that the suit would be a good way to give Marshall a wake-up
It's not your job as a lawyer to give somebody a wake-up call. That's the mom's
call. Debbie continued the case until it would finally come to settle on the 8th of August 2001. 2 full years had passed since Debbie initially launched the lawsuit against
maybe the lawyer was a good lawyer and I'm just tripping out. I have bias against lawyers.
Her son, and given how much pain had been experienced during this period, Debbie was likely expecting a pretty impressive payout, although this isn't what would happen. Eminem was ordered to pay his mother a measly $25,000, which becomes even funnier when you come to discover that in the process, Debbie Mathers...
I told you! I knew it. Scumbag.
was charged
Not all lawyers are scumbags, but...
$23,354 in legal fees, meaning that when all
I
was
knew the lawyer was saying that to get his check. I knew it.
said and done, Eminem's mum kept only $1,646. Debbie Mathers' lawyer stated that
Guys, 90% of the time, the lawyers are looking to get their cut, and they can't get their cut unless they finish the process and go to court and do what it is they were programmed to do. And by programmed, I mean what they learned to do in school. The legal system is so... You just don't want to touch it. It's such a filthy stick that you hope to God you never have to speak to a lawyer, because most of them are so ratty. I don't know. At least the ones I've experienced.
That she was the most high-maintenance client I've had in my legal career, and that the $25,000 settlement was a far cry to the time I dedicated to her personally and to the legal action.
Hold up, I need to go back. Sorry.
$3,354 in legal fees, meaning that when all was said and done, Eminem's mum kept only $1,646. Debbie Mathers' lawyer stated that she was the most high-maintenance client I've had in my legal career, and that the $25,000 settlement was a far cry to the time I dedicated to her personally and to the legal action. Following the suit, Eminem and his mother wouldn't speak to each other for years.
We don't really speak. When was the last time you talked? It's probably been a couple of years, probably about 3, maybe 4 years.
That lawyer, just so you know, is literally getting complaining about getting $23,000 for having to work with somebody that you know, was a little bit hot and heavy. Like, I'm sure she wasn't a nice person, but there are people at McDonald's who deal with food getting thrown in their face daily, and they don't get $23,000 for spending however much time you spend with her. I know lawyers have a hard job, and yeah, they want, but like, there are people that do this for free. They listen to their family's problems and stuff like that. Just be happy you got paid, bro. Just be happy you got paid.
Years, something like that.
In an interview from
They try and make it like, oh, I worked so hard, I did this, I did that. Meanwhile, people are struggling every day. I love how this isn't about Eminem anymore. It's about lawyers. I work so hard. I listened to her problems. Oh, wow. You listened to her problems and you got paid for it. You know, your life is so hard. I listen to problems every day from people, and I don't get paid for it. Like
2010, Marshall stated that he didn't even know where his mum was living and that it'd be very hard to repair that.
If you didn't want to listen to her problems, drop her as a client. But no, because there was a $2 million, $10 million lawsuit floating in the air.
Relationship. However, in 2014, Eminem released the song Headlights as an apology to Debbie, explaining that he was sorry for all the things he had said about her in the past.
So they made up?
And that it'd be very hard to to her personally and to the legal action. Following the suit, Eminem and his mother wouldn't speak to each other for years.
We don't really speak. When was the last time you talked? It's probably been a couple of years, probably about 3, maybe 4 years, something like that.
In an interview from 2010, Marshall stated that he didn't even know where his mum was living and that it'd be very hard to repair that relationship. However, in 2014, Eminem released the song Headlights as an apology to Debbie, explaining that he was sorry for all the things he had said about her in the past.
Is that the one, I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you, I never meant to let you down, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet. Anyways, look, I got nothing against good lawyers, but lawyers, they get trained very well to think that like, this is a very good way to look at life, the way lawyers look at life. Everything is a favor for a lawyer. I'm doing this for you, and I could be getting paid, and they know they could be getting paid, but they're doing it for you, and sometimes they won't charge you. That's a favor. A bad lawyer will consider that a favor held over your head. Like, I just did you a favor. I could be getting paid for this. Like, I don't know. They always do that. It's such a manipulative way to do business, but also it's such an effective way to do business. And honestly, like, I can't blame the hustle. It's just when you're on the dirty end of the stick, you get very, very upset. Yeah, so this is so interesting. I didn't know Eminem's mom created a diss track, and she I know they went to court. I didn't know the full details about it, but because of that song, Killer, it's a remix Killer by Jack Harlow. Uh, Actually, if I just do Killer, I'll probably find it. This one. It's so good. Bum bum. Bum bum. It's like the only time I got served was that lawsuit when Ma sued. It's really good. It's really good. You guys should listen to it. Um, yeah. It's crazy. I didn't realize that um you know, uh, like I didn't think of it on her side. She was I didn't realize, I thought as much, but this pill popping stuff and stuff like that, he said it so many times, I'm not convinced that she was a quote unquote good mother. But then again, like, what's a good mother? You know what I mean? She stuck by her child as much as she could, and she tried to discipline her child, and you know, and I'm sure she's not the worst mother in the world. Like, you know, I think she's just, you know, she was born in a rough environment, and she was just trying to figure herself out. Probably had a kid too early. My parents had a kid too early, and I mean, my parents had me too early, and look how I turned out.